everyone. My name is Ase Asma. Welcome to another episode of Tooways to Skin a Cat, a show where we talk career experiences, entrepreneurship, and investments. The main aim of the show is to show that there's more than one way to be successful other than climbing the corporate ladder. We are live on LinkedIn and YouTube, and the show will be available on podcast by tomorrow morning. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on that notification bell to get automatically notified when the next episode comes out. If you are joining us live, drop a one in the comments so that we know we're not talking to ourselves, and drop a two in the comments if you're watching the recording. My guest for this week is Andrea Klassen, Chartered Accountant, Senior Manager at Bayport Financial Services, and also a SAICA Top 35 Under 35 finalist. Andrea,
Hello.
Thanks so much for joining me.
How are you guys? How are you doing?
Great to have you. Can't complain. Just glad to have you online. It's brilliant.
Yes.
But they're here to see you, not to see me. So let's jump straight into the question.
No problem.
Story, where do you come from? Outside of work, who is Andrea Klassen? Give us a backstory.
So I am Andrea Klassen, married now with my new son, Erasmus. It hasn't changed on LinkedIn yet. But I come from Port Elizabeth, born and bred, went to NU, and then completed my articles at BDO, moved from Port Elizabeth to BDO, did my articles, became a CA, did a little bit of tax, started and completed my master's in tax, and then ended up at Bayport.
That was a very short.
Was it too
short? No, it's fine. And you mentioned that you're married, but otherwise outside of work, what do you do on the weekends?
On the weekend, so now I'm currently training for the Soweto Marathon. I want to run the 42K. It started off slow with the training, but I'm getting there. I ran the PwC 21K. It wasn't too bad. The hills were like ridiculous, but we made it through. Luckily, I had my husband to like literally pull me up the hill. But then the downhills were amazing. So that's like my main focus now outside of work, to try and complete the 42K and still be able to stand the next day.
Okay. No, that's great. So you're a runner in your spare time.
Yes.
But since you gave us such a short intro, we're going to jump back into that a little bit. I see you started your articles in Port Elizabeth, but then after a year, you changed firms and cities. So talk to us a little bit about why you made that decision.
Oh, yes. So I failed a couple of modules in my first and second and third year base. And then I needed money basically to try and study. So I said, what's the best way to still achieve my CA dream? And that was to work and study. It was such a tough year. I literally sacrificed everything to try and obtain my degree. I think I only saw my family Christmas Day and New Year's Eve so I could go to church, because it was waking up at 4 a.m. to study and then going to work 8 to 5. Then we still had class from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. It was hectic, perseverance, diligence. And that was like my only opportunity to try and get my degree, try and finish my articles. And then I made a conscious decision that I said to myself, if I wanted to pursue my honors, it would have to be full time. So just saving up all my pennies during my articles, or during the first year of articles, I gained so much experience. But then going full time into honors was the best decision that I could have made, because honors is so tough. I literally had to give everything just to make it through. But once I completed my honors, I passed first time. Amongst all the failures that came through first year, second year, third year, I used all of that setbacks in order to achieve my goal into becoming a CA. And then I decided the best career move for myself financially was to then move to Pretoria. Not only did BDO believe in me, they also gave me a bursary to do my honors. So I was really grateful for the opportunity to do my articles and to also obtain a bursary from BDO. And that's how I ended up in Pretoria.
Oh, that's amazing. And you mentioned it earlier also, you've got a master's in tax. Now, normally people who have these tax qualifications, that and financial services companies don't necessarily go hand in hand. So why did you do the tax qualification, and would you recommend others also follow that path?
So when I was in honors Tooways, I had this amazing lecturer. I won't forget her, Professor Singleton. She told the most wonderful. It sounds so silly because I'm such a nerd, but I was so intrigued by the tax stories she used to tell us in class. And I said, you know what, one day I want to obtain my master's in tax just so that I can help my family as well, or people that I know that don't understand the tax legislation. Because she always used to tell us about stories of how she helped her dad in difficult situations, especially with people that don't understand tax. It's not plain and simple. So that was where I found my love for tax and where I want to do it further. And the challenge also to get into master in tax is also not that easy. So it wasn't smooth sailing. I didn't get into my master's first time. I actually had to redo my tax module at Tooways. I applied for my master's in tax and then I didn't get accepted the first time. And then I redid my module, my honors module. And then the second time I managed to get in. And with Tooways, it's only a small handful that could actually get in. So I was so grateful and so blessed to actually have gotten into the class. I think the class was about 60. Um, so it was really like a blessing to get in with all my hard work. Then from video, I actually did a little bit of tax consulting or tax compliance work, and then realized that some of the tax stuff also incorporated a bit of auditing, also incorporated a bit of finance. And so that combination of those three topics was so interesting. And then I thought, okay, there's a bit more outside of tax than just the tax legislation, and that's how I ended up also at Bayport.
Okay.
And then going into a different field.
And who would you recommend to do the tax qualification? Just people who have a passion for tax, or people who want to help out you?
It's so difficult because tax is such a specialized subject. So you must really want to specialize in tax to actually want to go through the tax legislation again. So I would definitely say people that do have a passion, but also if you don't want to be put into a box. Like for me, I want to do tax not to only add value to a business or to an organization because tax is the biggest line item, but to be able to give skills from different points of view. We come from audit, we audit our clients' books. Then we have the tax knowledge, which we can also add value and also add that skill. And adding that into a business can make you extremely, how can I say, instrumental to the business in adding value to any conversation that your CFO or your head of finance could have with you. So it's just opening your mind to different aspects of the business, and also adding value to a conversation that can involve you as well, and you're not looking at things from one point of view.
Oh, amazing, amazing. For the audience, if you've got any questions for Andrea, please add them to the comment section now so that we don't miss them. We're going to answer all the questions towards the end. I see that you started the Ase Foundation just over a year ago. Firstly, congrats on your first year. But what is the foundation about, and who are you trying to help?
So I started the foundation once I got nominated as a finalist for the top 35 under 35 SAICA competition. And I said to myself when I was younger, I always wanted to give back or become the role model that I needed back then. Because when I grew up, there wasn't a lot of CAs that I knew or that I could speak to guide me in that path. It was literally, I saw my mom's hard work and her work ethic, and I saw my dad striving to achieve and to bring food into the table. So I said to myself, you know what, all those late nights, I really needed somebody to really understand my journey. And that's where I thought of the Ase Foundation. And I only take about 5 mentees and I mentor them during either the CA journey or their career goals. So I know I had last year, I had someone that was studying, I think it was quantity surveying or something like, I can't remember, sorry. And she just wanted more direction in her career path. And we sat down, we structured our goals from the very beginning. And then every quarter we would sit and almost reassess. So for me, it's more than just mentoring, it's motivation. It is encouraging. It's me believing in my mentees 110% when no one else is there for you, when no one else is backing you. I'm there as a support to actually say, you know what, I believe in you, no matter how the marks look, even if you are 35%, let's get into the exam and we still have a fighting chance. So from there, I really thought this foundation is really my passion project that I'm absolutely passionate about, not only encouraging, but we also, because I'm a God-fearing person, we also pray about certain things that we trust God for, especially with the goals that my mentees have. So the project, the Ase Foundation, is very, very dear to me.
Oh, that's amazing. I noticed on LinkedIn that you post quite a bit about mental health. What advice do you have for younger professionals to guard their mental health, especially when working under tight deadlines during articles?
Oh, this one is such a, I don't want to say trigger, but especially coming from articles, you work under extreme conditions, and eating healthy and working out is the last thing on your mind because you're trying to push your deadlines. So for me, mental health, especially coming from articles and going into COVID, has really opened my eyes into how I started the Sizzling Club, which is a health and fitness club that anybody of any age, of any fitness level can join. And it is literally showing people that you can eat healthy, that you can gym, even if it's 30 minutes twice a week during such a busy schedule and making time for you. So for me, the emphasis on mental health by eating healthy, especially what you consume. You're eating fatty foods, you're eating sugary foods, your blood sugar levels are fluctuating. You're wondering why you are so depressed. You're wondering why you are so moody. And that is why I emphasize on the Sizzling Club. Join me when you have a second. It's about eating healthy, it's about exercising, it's about getting that little bit of joy during those tight deadline times, especially making time for yourself. Self-care is basically the main point that I drive home.
That makes a lot of sense. And growing instead of your waistline growing always works. So I agree during articles.
If you saw my pictures in my Instagram, Upais, I was like literally 20 kgs heavier. Like I think I weighed like almost 90. Because sometimes you eat and you don't realize that your waistline is growing, and then you wonder, but why do I feel so sick? Why don't I have enough energy for my kids or my family? And I had to make a change in my life immediately.
You've come quite far in your career, and I can imagine that it's because you managed to pull through some difficult times. What advice do you have for someone who's going through those difficult times right now to get them to push through?
For me, to give advice, it's almost how you talk to yourself and who you surround yourself with. If if I could go back to my first and my second and my third year, the belief that I had in myself always, um, failure almost set me back mentally. And it was telling myself, you know what, no matter what it takes, no matter how long it takes, you've got what it takes. The fact that you could get into your course means that the university has, or means that the university believes that you can make it. So it's how you talk to yourself in the very early stages, right from the very beginning, telling yourself, no matter what happens this year, I have already passed. And it's speaking to yourself in a positive sense. It sounds cliche, but it's a mental game at the end of the day, especially whether it's at work, whether it's at university, but it's definitely speaking positively to yourself.
And I agree with you 100%. I've got a business coach who gave me these affirmations that I have to listen to every day. And the
Yes.
first few days, I was like, this is as cheesy as can be. But after a while, it's like,
Exactly.
okay, I can understand now. I think I
Yes.
can see the impact. But yes, it definitely helps. Self-talk definitely helps. I
Yes.
actually have a few more questions, but I see lots of questions coming through from the
Oh,
audience, and I don't want to miss them. So let's
okay.
jump over to that. We've got a question from Velile, who says, which other master's program would you recommend for a newly qualified CA? Interesting question.
Oh, that's a good one. I think I saw, especially with where businesses are going now, very IT, very digital. Um, I think I saw an IT master's at UJ that I am definitely interested in as well to diversify my skills. So maybe something in IT to add value, especially to businesses going to the digital space, and also to be involved in those um, data analytical discussions. You know, sometimes we come across here, and yes, we have all the skills, but right now businesses want to scale down and focus on IT and get data out and make sure we're more efficient and more successful in how we report. So maybe IT. That's just my view.
That's a good one, and I'm gonna throw a little bit of a red herring in there. Yes, you don't have to do. It's great if you do that, but you don't have to do a master's program. Like
Yes,
Andrea mentioned, you can learn coding online. You can do things
yes,
online that still makes you stand out from the crowd. So it's great to think of a tertiary education, but if you're looking for a specific thing, there might be things that you can learn outside of something that you have to pay a lot of money for. Just know that you have options. We've got a question from Luandile who says, how do you keep yourself motivated after everything you've already achieved? And that's a good question.
Oh, pray. Pray keeps me motivated and just being grateful for everything that I've achieved. You know, sometimes we don't, or let's take the top 35, under 35. I don't think I've ever taken the time to reflect on all that I've achieved, because once you're in a situation and you've just overcome the next hurdle and the next hurdle, and you haven't even looked back on how far you've come. Um, so just reflection and being grateful, writing down in my gratitude journal all the things that I'm grateful for, and just praying to God and saying, thank you, Lord, for just carrying me through these years and continue to carry me through. So, yeah.
And Luandile, how do you keep yourself motivated? We're not at any chance done. There's much more to achieve. That's enough to keep me motivated. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
How was your experience doing articles at a mid-tier firm? What was the most challenging part of being a CA trainee?
My experience at BDO was definitely one for the books. I chose a mid-tier firm because I wanted to get experience on every aspect of the business. Um, with BDO, we were a nice, close-knit family, and they literally gave me exposure to everything and anything that I could see, that I could touch on. I remember being idle, and the tax department needed some hands, and I got involved. And then there was SIPC, or the filing statutory, and then I got involved with. So having or being at a mid-tier firm definitely exposes you a lot, and also gives you experience to manage at a level. I think at third or second year we were already managing big teams. So that managing people at a very younger level at articles was definitely great. The most challenging part of being a CA, um, wow, that's a difficult one. The challenging part, I think,
Of being a trainee, I guess. So I mean,
yes, of
it's
being a
doing article.
trainee. Um, I was quite mispositive at in my articles. I definitely kind of like try to motivate my clerks. But the most challenging part for me, because I'm quite withdrawn, I may look outspoken now, but for me, the challenging part was actually speaking to the CFO or speaking to the CEO and trying to get questions, and trying to actually understand what needs to be tested, or to ask the question so I get the correct information. Because for me, the deadline is tight, and if you're not getting the right information, you don't have time to go back to the client. So making sure, I think that was the most challenging part, actually coming out of my box and asking those questions to the big bosses that are so scary. Yeah, that was my most challenging part.
I can definitely resonate with that one. And for me, I just remember in my third year, the most challenging thing was staying
Yeah.
healthy. It ties into
Ooh.
what Andrea was saying earlier. I got sick so often just because I wasn't healthy enough
Oh
because of the
man.
stress.
Yes.
We've got a question, one more question from Luandile, who says, what would you do better if you were to travel the same route again or
Oh, I
differently?
would definitely. I would. I could kick myself now, but I wish I believed in myself more. in the beginning. Like from matric, they set you on this high bar and you just made it into the CA course and you're so happy. But that jump between matric and first year, I wish I believed in myself more. I wish I spoke to myself in a more positive light, and I didn't look at failure as a setback, but more as a stepping stone. That, you know what, if I failed the first test, I'm going to make it the second time or the next test. But once you're in it, it's so hard to almost pull yourself out. So definitely speak to myself much better.
Just one question that I like to ask all my guests is, what is one piece of advice you would give your younger self?
Oh, put yourself out there. If there's a job that you want to apply for, if there's a question that you want to ask but you're too scared, just put yourself out there. Don't worry about the consequences. If you fail, you learn from it. If you get in or you get that job, great stuff, but you won't know unless you try.
Those are wise words. Any last few words from you or anything we didn't discuss that you'd like the audience to know?
Oh, last few words. Like, I think just a small motivation that life's going to throw you so many curveballs, but in every single day, see the positive in that day. So you might get a tough client today, or you might have a tough conversation, or you might have heard bad news from a family member. You know what? Write down on a piece of paper what you're grateful for and just see the positive in that day. And by the end of the year, once you put all those positive notes in a jar, you'll look back and reflect, it wasn't a bad year.
That's so true. And then when you think about it, like months from when it doesn't seem like such a big deal when you look at it.
Yes, exactly that.
I think that's a great way to end. The show has been live on YouTube and should be available on podcast by tomorrow. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on that notification bell to get automatically notified when the next episode comes out. Andrea, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us for another episode of Two Ways to Skin a Cat. Goodbye.